Hey guys, welcome back to Sword of Convallaria. In today's video, we're going to be doing a guide for Edda, going through the way she just generally functions, your talent choices and some recommendations, and also her preload, so which skills you actually want to have active in different situations, and then also her gearing options depending on how you are playing her. Now, before we go any further, if you guys want to find some fantastic general visual guides to get you on a general direction, I think going and checking out Celion is a fantastic idea. This guy is absolutely fantastic for the community. A lot of content that you have seen from pre-release up to release, a lot of people have been getting a ton of information off this guy. Absolute legend in helping the community. Not a fluent English speaker, so doesn't have a YouTube channel, so I'll split my revenue on the YouTube videos where I use some of his information with him to help him out, but he does post all of these over on his Patreon as a free post, so you don't have to pay for the Patreon either, and you can get guides. So for those that want a quick splash guide on just about any character in the game, I definitely recommend coming and checking this out because he just puts them up for free as well. Patreon is just, this paid part is just if you want to support him. Really cool system that he does where he posts them as free so everyone can view them and get the information. Veteran Taiwanese version player and has all the information and has helped out myself and a bunch of the other content creators along the way. So I want to give a massive shout out where it is due, and that is this one here. But let's jump back in and let's go into some more deep information on Edda and her builds. So first of all, what is her core passive? Her core passive is a bit funny because it is an attacking based ability. However, you do have weapons and talents that she can get, which can add to her debuffing on attacks. So she does have that. But basically, she has an assist attack on all enemies within 4 tiles of herself, dealing 30% physical damage, can be used up to 1 time per round. Now, she also has another ability that buffs this damage as well. But in general, Edda, what kind of character is she? I think she is the character I would put her in the same category as is basically going to be Gloria. Gloria is a supportive character with good buffing and also has a damage dealing capacity. Edda is the same, however with Edda you kind of need to spec for damage or supportive, whereas Gloria can kind of do both in one because she has her form change. And if you're looking at teams, Edda is very splashable in just about any team. However, basically any team that you see where someone says, oh, you should use Gloria, as long as it's not only using Gloria for her knockback capabilities, Edda basically fits that role, and that is the way I look at her in general. Just a great all-around support. So let's go into, and then her base ability that she starts with is a 3-tile cross range with shield break, which does basically big damage if the enemy is shielded, and I think she will have a niche option as a damage dealer in against heavy shielded enemies. However, you will have to get a bunch of talents to go this build that you otherwise might not take. So, you know, we'll talk about that as we look through her talents, through her rank ups. So first of all, this is one of those talents I mentioned in the damage build for her. Passive increases attack by 30% and ignores 40% of the target's defense when attacking enemies with a shield. You can see she does get some good damage dealing capacity with her basic ability, and then on top of that, this would make some decent damage. However, the one I recommend taking is going to be the box. So instant skill, summon a box at the target tile. The first thing is it's instant, so you still get to act afterwards. It doesn't have a cost, but it does have a 4-turn cooldown. Now, what would you use this for? This can be very, very handy in allowing you to get high ground for one of your allies. If you have a piece of gear that gives you more damage on high ground, you have a passive that gives you more damage on high ground, you have an activation that requires high ground, or if you just want the high ground bonus. So that is fantastic. The ability to get high ground on level maps from this is what's really handy for especially some of the ranged damage dealers, which is going to be fantastic. The other thing it does do is allows you to block pathing for some enemies and maybe protect yourself from getting hit in a pinch situation. So this box, even though it seems simple with just a box, pretty good utility behind it. Next up, we go into rank 3, and these are both great abilities that is worth using a Castelia to go ahead and pick up. This one is like my first priority one. Grants all allies within 3 tiles damage up 3, which is damage by 30%, which you can stack this with attacking buffs. Magic defense up 2, which is huge for magic battles. Movement up 1 for 3 turns, and dispels disruption. Now the dispels disruption is actually huge, because if you've ever had movement down on your characters or something like that, and you feel absolutely crippled, that is massive. Listen, like it's great for all of these effects. When you can't do something that you want to do and you normally can do, are super frustrating. So being able to remove disruptions from allies is actually a really nice ability. It won't come into play every time you use this ability, but when you do get the effect of it, it is going to be super nice. So this ability, just all round great ability. It's only a 1 cost, but it is a 4 turn cooldown, but we do get those buffs for 3 turns. So you only have 1 turn of downtime on these, which is pretty decent. Then we move into the barrel. Now this one is really nice as well. It's an instant ability. Once again, all these instant abilities are super clutch in a lot of situations. She deals 20% damage to all enemies within 1 tile of the target and changes the tiles to liquor. And you can see the range. It's got a decent range. You've got a 4 tile range on it. It does have the 2 at the minimum, so you can't go adjacent to you. But then it does give those 9 tiles that it hits the liquor effect. Now, what is a liquor effect? It reduces speed by 150, move distance by 1 tile, and magic defense by 40%. So ideally, you're going to be wanting you to use this when you have allies that are dealing magical damage, so you can take full effect of it. But just being able to slow speed and movement of the enemy is fantastic. But this one is a huge ability, once again, especially if you're using magic damage dealers on your team, to go ahead and nuke enemies pretty hard. Moving into the next tier, we have these two. This one's just really big in my opinion, especially if you're taking the box ability and actually using it, or a lot of maps just have objects on them anyway. Damage decreases the damage taken by 40% if there is any item within 1 tile around the character. So that's anything that's on there that you can interact with. That is a pretty solid effect to get some good damage mitigation. Otherwise, this would be more in your damage build here, that when hit by an active attack from the front or side, performs a basic attack to strike back. If the attacker is within melee range, deals 70% of basic attack damage. The effect can be activated up to 1 time per round. So then when we start looking at this, she does get a lot of damage outside her turn, and because she is a marksman, she has the bow, and there is a bow that actually increases your damage outside of your turn, so her assist attacks and her counter attacks would be getting more damage. So you can build her for that, but once again, I prefer the supportive build, so that is why I definitely would be picking up this one, because this one ain't going to do too much for you. Yes, you could apply debuffs like the next one we're looking at with it, but ideally you're trying to position so that you're not really getting attacked too much, so keep that in mind. Moving on to this one. Rank 7, before a single target attack, gains 50% chance to inflict physical defense down 2 on the enemy for 2 turns. Now this is really nice. As you can see, physical defense by 40%. Now that won't get applied by something like this because that is an AoE attack, so it does require a single target attack, but getting the ability to put a physical defense shred by 40%, and then also having over here a magical def shred by 40%, or magical damage increase by 40%, she is a great amplifier, whether it be when she's paired with physical damage dealers, or whether it be with magic damage dealers. So she can amplify damage really well with this ability and this ability. Absolutely fantastic. And then obviously the raw buffing that comes from this ability. Now your other option is if there's an item within 1 tile of the character, increase attack by 15% and allows the character to move again by 2 tiles after initiating an active attack. Now she does have range on her attacks because she's a bow user, but if you have to move her into position to do that attack, just if you do decide to go with this one, because this would be once again when you're looking at the damage focus portion, and if you are looking at the damage focus portion, you would want to be bringing another unit in the team to be able to put the physical defense shred, because she is dealing physical damage. But with this one, just know if you are using this one, you do want to be paying attention to where the objects are, because they need to be near you when you're using the attack, not at the start of your turn. So if you were using this ability, you would move, then place this so the object's next to you to get the boost, and then you would have the boost. So just keep in mind, it is a bit finicky. Once again, the damage build isn't optimal. We're looking more at the supportive build with what I'm building here. Moving on into rank 9. Basic attack deals 100% physical damage and dispels 2 buffs off the target. This is super handy. A supportive character getting buff stripping abilities is great. So definitely a good one. You can see this one would be more of her damage based build, where she's going for the extra shield break on top of it. But this one is just fantastic as a supportive build, and that's the one you want to pick up. Then we have her final ability. This one is a very big one. It is a mouthful. Other allies within 4 tiles of Edda, key point, other allies, restore 1 energy. When she performs an assist attack, her damage increases by 130%. So, I mean, this is a supportive ability, but you're still getting the damage increase, which is nice. Increasing the maximum number of times the effect can be triggered per round, per turn by 2. This effect lasts for 1 turn. So she now has double assist procs, and they do a ton more damage after she uses this, plus giving all allies an extra energy. Really, really solid ability. This is the other one you have here. Once again, physical damage deals 120% damage to 1 enemy in a cross-shaped range around the character. For each tile between the character, you get 10% more damage. So this one is, once again, nice for that damage dealing capacity, but it is a hefty 4 cost. So even if I was looking into building a damage build, I don't even know if I would personally take this one because it's just a bit too hefty. But the basic build, so those are the talents that I recommend. All the ones that are highlighted are the ones that I would recommend picking up. Like I said, using a Constellia to pick up both of these two is absolutely fantastic, because when we look at what general skills I would bring into a normal situation, this would be my general loadout. I would have my 2 buffing abilities, so we would have our restore energy ability, because that's just a great supportive effect. We'd have our buffing ability, because once again, this is just another amazing buffing ability. And then I would, in general, I would bring this one, because yes, it's more catered towards using magic damage dealers, but the disruption for enemies is also fantastic. So this would be my general base loadout that I would have for her. Now, if you don't really need to slow enemies and stuff like that, and you're using a physical main DPS on your team, then you could always bring in something like this. Now you are a great support, and you're going to be shredding defense and helping your physical damage dealers deal more damage. So that becomes a great capacity there as well. Now, you might say, but what about the box? The box is one that is going to be dependent on the team you are using, or if the map requires. If you can cheese a map by putting a box down to allow you to jump up to somewhere easy, like that's going to be a niche situation. But once again, this one is more about what units you're using in your team and whether they do benefit from the effect of being at high ground. Now, what you can sometimes do as well is if you've got a physical damage dealer or a magical damage dealer who really wants to, get on high ground and benefit from the high ground, then you can replace this ability here, which is her assist attack, with one of these two. Then you're stacking the effectiveness of what you have, being that you are now giving that ally unit the high ground that they need. We've still got our buffing capacity, and then you can be giving them the extra magic damage that they need, or the extra physical damage that they need. So those are the kind of base pre skills that I would go ahead, and obviously you got to fix up your basic skill, don't forget to update that. But those are the basic loadouts that I would be giving her depending on the situation. Like I said, my generic one for me personally, when I just have her for general situations, would be this, because it's a nice utility build. But once again, depending on the team you are using and the main damage dealer you have in your team, you can adjust, and depending if they need the highland or high ground or not, you can play around with that. Now, moving on to her gear sets. So basically, when we look at her gear, there's 2 bows that I like. Well, there's one bow basically with her gear, there's one set that I like for her supportive build, and then one set that you can use if you want to look at more of a damage focused build, but I do recommend the supportive build. So this bow here increases physical attack by 1%. After dealing damage with a single target attack, inflicts 1 random level 2 debuff for 2 turns. This is really nice because she's got her basic attack obviously is a thing if you go ahead and use that. However, she does have her supportive attack as well, which is going to give her capacity to apply more debuffs through this. So and when you stack that with her Death Shred one as well, you can see that you can start like stacking up those debuffs, add to her supportive capabilities. Now, if you want to go for more of a damage dealing build, physical attack by 1% deals 10% more damage when not on the character's turn. Because of her support attacks, if you're going for damage, you probably bring the revenge as well. Then you can go ahead and do this, because she will be dealing a lot of the damage outside of her turn. Once again, not my ideal build, but I'm just giving you guys the option. Moving on from that, supportive build. I love this book. Instant. So we get an extra ability with this one. It's a 4-turn cooldown. You can use it 3 times per battle. Grants one other ally 1 random level 2 buff. So there's your buffs you can choose from. And speed up 1, which is, oh, there it is, by 50 for 2 turns. Can be used 3 times. So this is a nice little effect that you get from this. Gear buffs are never going to be the craziest thing, but getting around a buff plus speed, if you need to like overtake a unit in turn order, it can be super clutch. So that is the one we are looking at there for that build. Now, if you want to build her on a damage dealing build and you can cheese around with using the Highland, then this one we do all get from free from the Voyage Memento, so you can get extra crit from Highland. You know, it's a bit of a finicky one. It's a bit funny, but I still recommend going the supportive build with her, obviously. And then finally, when we look at our Tarot Whisper, this one is fantastic. So recovers 1 energy additionally when not using any active skills and standby. And then, because this one, you've got a chance when you got Rainbow on the last node, reduces the cooldown of all active skills by 1 turn when not using any skills. So basically, if you just take a turn, where you go, okay, I'm not going to do anything this turn. Remembering, this is always fantastic on supports because, you know, 1 turn, she's going to use all of the supportive abilities, and she probably doesn't need to do much the next turn. Keeping in mind that she does have a bunch of instant abilities and passives that you will be utilizing. So you're just getting your cooldowns reduced on this, which is absolutely fantastic because what you can do with these, you can cheese it to have much better uptime on all your things. So this gives her more uptime on that one, which doesn't really matter as much, but this is the big one because this is a 4-turn cooldown and it's a 3-turn buff. By having this ability, which you can spot this on your tarot cards at level 50, but you need to get level 55 to unlock this ability. But later game, when you get this, it basically means you can keep full uptime on this ability on the buffs, which is a massive, massive effect to have with a unit like this. So that is why I would be going for that one. Having said that, if you want to go for a different option, like once again on the damage, when it's not the character's turn, once again, like playing in on that factor, you get the increased damage and then you also get increased lifesteal. But, you know, once again, I definitely recommend this set of gear for her supportive build, and I definitely recommend her supportive build with this general set of loadouts. But once again, you do have those different options depending on your damage dealer that you're bringing and stuff like that, whether you got physical, whether you got magic, whether you need the box for high ground or manipulation and stuff like that. There are a bunch of different options, but once again, that is my roundup of Edda. Don't forget, once again, go ahead and show some support to Celion. I will leave Celion's Twitter in there as well if you want to communicate with Celion and just show some support and stuff like that. It would be absolutely fantastic. But that is going to be it for this one, guys. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.